To this computer. Right. Hello and welcome to the I Just Need Sleep Group Facebook podcast. And with us today, we've got Neil Wood, my co host, and as a guest, Rich Enion, who is an expert in lifestyle, food, and effects. And I think last time we really spent a long time talking was probably about 2008, Rich. What have you been up to recently?
Yeah. Well, firstly, thanks for the time and for everybody listening for getting involved. And I don't know if this is said too often, but I think it's really important. It's like a little acknowledgement of like this stuff's as we develop ourselves and dive deeper into our own whatever you want to word it, but personal evolution or finding greater peace. I think that's really beautiful and commendable for everybody because here you are having a look at how you can lead a more peaceful human life. So, but yeah, it's been what 12 years.
Yeah. Well, I did come to one of your, I think about a year or two ago, to one of your tea specific events. Yeah, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it, and we had some great mushroom tea, caffeine free, and that was really good.
Just been reading up on that. Yeah, it's just been reading up on it. I was like, wow, I know nothing.
It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating, the world of the mushrooms and the teas and how that links into food and connection with earth, with soil, with how the body's processing it all. It's really, really fascinating. And like, did you say you're a tree surgeon, or what is it?
I work as ground crew for a tree surgeon. I'm too old to go climbing trees with a chainsaw. Leave that to the younger guys who want all the glory. Once you put up 120-foot pop that's probably got a 15-foot movements at the top in the wind, yeah, that's enough. Thanks.
Wow.
But
yeah,
no,
but deeply connected with it, right? The nature.
Yeah, I mean, we see the mushrooms, and because we do some forestry work as well, and a lot of the guys I work with were sort of their founding in it was forestry, so they know all the Latin words, and yeah, it's really interesting to sort of go out with them, and they almost got like a bushcraft. I mean, the one Russian guy, he's amazing. He's one of the best climbers certainly in the Midlands, and they used to go out for sort of 3 months at a time. So they would live and work in the forest and hunt food and trap food.
Yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff that nourishes it's challenging, but nourishes the body and deeply into this existence that we're living. Like 12 years is a little while to kind of tell you exactly what, but I've been traveling a lot. I've been learning a lot. I've been shredding, peeling layers of the onion, which is ironic because that was one of my nicknames at school, with my last name being Enion. And I always remember I lived in LA for a little bit, and I went to the Kabbalah Center there, which is, I mean, for I guess you could describe it as a spiritual side of Judaism. And the guy, the gent there that was kind of interviewing me before I went in, he said he had a little chat with me, and I asked him a few questions, and he kind of got a sense of where I was. This is like 2012, 2013. And he said to me, "This isn't going to be easy, you've got some work to do." And yeah, he was right. Yeah, there was plenty of peeling, and this is one of the awesome things that I feel about where I am at this part of my existence is I know there's plenty more to come, and I'm all right with that. I know there are more challenges. I know there's more development and learning, and I think that's part of I'll speak for myself. I think that's just one of the most important things that I've come to understand is that it never stops. There are plateaus of like peace and kind of cruising a little bit more flow, and then there are times of deep learning, and it's that being being okay, being at not even necessarily at peace, just being okay with the fact that there is going to be more learning, there is going to be pain, there is going to be pleasure, and this whole spectrum of let's go with the emotional scale. And within that, sleep is like one of the most, I believe, the most critical parts of keeping balance with that. So I'm really happy to come and share a few bits with you guys. But yeah, like briefly, in short, moved over to Los Angeles. From there, moved to Argentina, then to Colombia in South America as well. Back to England a little bit, back to LA, and then to Colombia. So in that period of, well, that's not 2008. That was, say, 2012, 2013, up until a couple of years ago. I think 2007, 2008, I moved to the Caribbean for a little while. I spent 7 or 8 months drumming in a band out there.
Good work if you can get it.
Right? Yeah. With that one, I just I'd finished my degree. I'd saved up a little bit of money, enough for a flight and a few months' food. I was like, okay, I want to go to the Galapagos Islands. So the Caribbean is kind of on the way. It's most of the way, but not quite, which I didn't realize how far it was. Ended up booking a flight to St. Lucia, bumping
nice.
into yeah. It was
I hate him already. Get him off.
We don't want you here anymore, man.
Yeah. When I say these things, it sounds ridiculous. I hear it, I do hear it. I do kind of check in on it and go, "Wow,
sounds
that's
wonderful." Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's with risk, of course. It's with risk, and it's with not knowing. It's like when you get on a return flight to St. Lucia without accommodation or knowing anybody there, or to any country. There's risk involved. There's being okay with uncertainty. A passion for adventure, I guess. I was keen. I was eager. I am eager. It's that okay, I want to know. I want to learn. I want to find out more. I want to go and see it for myself, and I want to go and feel it, whatever is there to be felt. And in short, to end this interview, you don't have to go anywhere. It's all here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of travel, lots of learning. I've co-authored a book that's hopefully going to be launched in the next 2 weeks. The book was originally called Fuck Dieting, and now has...
Love that title straight away.
But we've actually changed the title.
Why?
I've got a co-author, and we've decided between us that it's moving over to. You know what? We still actually to finalize it exactly, but one of the kind of the top possibilities is your invisible shield, and then linking that into mind, body, spirit. And within the book, we speak about food, we speak about teas, about happiness, about peace of mind, meditations in there, and it's it's good. I'll let you guys know as soon as it's launched.
Cool.
But yeah, this group that you've got, I think it's awesome. I think it's really good. I need to go and see some of the other interviews that you've done, but yeah, just as I mentioned a minute ago, like sleep's so integral to every aspect of health. Like just incredibly, it's critical, of course. You guys sleep okay?
Most of the time. I was, when I was suffering from stress or anxiety, really. I was waking up in the night, agitated, anxious, waking up early in the morning, couldn't get back to sleep. And it was really quite taking its toll on me. But these days I sleep all right, provided the dog doesn't bark all night, or the usual things happen. 9 out of 10 days it's okay, and 7 out of 10 it's probably good sleep. So yeah, but
All right.
like we say here, sometimes you don't get a good night's sleep, and that's normal.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I think the best way to describe it is I've slept through an earthquake.
Oh,
Yeah, I tend to just shut my eyes. I'm gone. But having gone through challenges and these ups and downs, although ups and downs, it's just life, isn't it? It's only your thinking that makes it up or down. It's just life. It's just events that happen. The same as weather comes and goes. It's going to change all the time. But I've had periods where I suffered with PTSD, and 5 days, 4 nights was my longest that I stayed awake for. And yeah, more hallucinogenic than any mushroom I've ever taken.
I bet.
Totally off this planet. I was having meals with people like Haile Selassie and Hitler, and they were there in the room talking to me, and I would tell my partner to shut up if she interrupted because it was so rude. They were real. They were there. Mirages. As I say, more hallucinogenic than anything I've ever taken. But generally, I tend to sleep well. I can sleep at any time. I'm one of these people that can do power naps as well and not wake up groggy.
Terrible people that
I love
who
it.
don't sleep well hate.
I love it.
We all hate you.
But I specialise in stress management, Rich, and I have a thing called the 6 pillars. And these 6 pillars are the things that in 25 years of research and working within that field, at every level from blue chip companies through to treating individuals. What I found were there were 6 key elements if someone had been suffering for a long time, and one is diet and food, because of the impact that it has on your body over a long period of time. So yeah, I'm really interested and started reading some of your stuff, and that just got me even more into it. So yeah,
awesome.
and, you know, a lot of our members have stated that could it be food that, you know, is there something about food that may not be sleeping properly, or is it diet related? So there's probably a good 25% of people have listed that as some sort of an issue.
Just before we continue, the only thing I can see on the screen is my face, which is fine, but it's kind of annoying.
Okay. Let me
no way to
spotlight
see
that
you guys
when you're talking. Right. I spotlighted your video. I'm going to remove the spotlight. Can you see me talking now?
I can see you now. Yes.
Okay. Hold on. It's just right. I think So that's all right.
Neil, do you want to say something? Let's get pulls to you as well.
Yes. Yeah. I can see you. Yeah.
Awesome.
So you're now the main. Oh, he's gone back to. So when we talk with the main screen.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening.
It's only because Rich is so beautiful, you know, and he takes care of his diet and his skin that we wanted to see him all the time.
This face, I didn't do anything for it. Right, let's go.
Let's go, yeah.
So let's go physical, let's go food. I want to go straight into it. So like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, none of that. And this is really important for you to know. And it's important for you to get, to speak to your primary health caregiver, your doctor, somebody that knows you, that knows your body, to obviously firstly, and throughout the whole thing, is to learn and know yourself. With that said, there are things that I've tried myself. There are things that groups of doctors that I communicate with on a regular basis try with themselves and with their patients that I find really fascinating, that I'm going to share some of those with you, if that's cool.
Yeah, please.
Good, awesome. So the first one is that, like, literally the initial book title was "Fuck Dieting." Like, it's ludicrous to take someone else's plan and go, hey, okay, I'm going to follow this plan and I'm going to be healthy and fit. And then a few weeks down the line, whatever's going on, maybe it's cravings, maybe sleep's worse, maybe sleep's better. Maybe your moods are more balanced. Maybe you're more irritable. Like this prescription diet, and unless it's, I believe, evolved over a little bit of time and has been informed through your own tuning into your own physical sensations, your own emotional shifts, perhaps fluctuations, getting a base level, and also working with someone on that if you wanted to. It's critical, because this is about you as an individual, or me as an individual. And with that, just leaning a slight little bit deeper into that, is that right now, this is how my physical body is. This is, we're sort of at the beginning of winter. My family relationship status is as it is right now. My emotional relationship with whoever I'm involved with is as it is right now. In a week, in 4 months, in 5 years, in 50 years, yours and mine, they'll be different. And again, that leans into like, well, yeah, if I'm going to follow a strict plan, then how does that bring in the natural changes and the seasons of life? And that's something I learned living with doctors of Chinese medicine for a little while. And this seasonal thing is just critical, and it's beautiful, because you can wake up one morning and go, oh, I'm feeling however you're feeling. So, okay, let's check in on a few things. What are the physical realities that are going on? Oh yeah, it's winter, so it's colder. Maybe that affected my sleep. Maybe I need to recalibrate the apartment. Maybe like particularly in the transitions, getting that temperature of your apartment and your bed and your room and your bedding right. Like I messed out for 4 or 5 days. I'm like, why am I so cold? I can't get to sleep. It's like, oh yeah, because the temperature shifted, the season changed, and it took me a few days to remember to adapt to the seasonal change. And I just mentioned it a little bit there, but leaning further into like the seasonal change is not necessarily just weather or time, it's season of life. And that's Jim Rohn. You know Jim Rohn, you guys have heard of him?
Yeah.
I love Jim. So he talks about that as well a lot. It's like the seasons of life. Like where are you at? Like is it time to sow seeds? Is it time to reap the fruit? Are you hanging around for the fruit, or is it time to leave and change and move on? Whatever it is, but the physical seasons is the temperature and the seasons of life. And so if it's a particularly stressful period, then it's like, okay, here's the message. Okay, my body is in a state of stress. Okay, what are the messages and the symptoms? Perhaps it's, I don't know, a busy mind. Okay, so what are my thoughts about? Is there a specific content? Is that just going down into those little things, investigating? And that just lightens it so nicely, because it's not like, oh my God, I'm stressed out, my head's done. It's, oh yeah, okay. There are certain messages and symptoms presenting, and I'm kind of looking out there because they often present out there. It might be like tension with a loved one. It might be, I don't know, more road rage or whatever it is. But then also going back in and going, okay, so how am I with this particular time period of life? And I just want to make a note, so I want to come back to that in a second.
So you're saying that we're not constant beings, because that's one of the things in the West that we think we are. We think we are constant, but really we're doing all sorts of different things depending on the day and the week and the months, and changing.
Yeah, totally. That is a very Western thing, isn't it? We're constant beings. What's the external fix?
Yeah, for me, change is the only constant in life.
Yeah.
Our cells change every second.
Yeah, which is such a beautiful opportunity as well, right?
Yeah, because if that change is constantly there and it's always there for us, and if you're stuck in a rut, you can change, because that's what happens automatically. So there's always that hope. Yeah,
I love it. So staying with physical for a second again as well, like foods, there'll be certain foods that you're eating, that I'm eating, that are not necessarily agreeing with my physical body, my system. For example, I love blueberries. I really love them. They don't agree with my body. They're just something at this time, or over the last sort of few years, my skin changes. There's just certain symptoms of my body that when I eat blueberries, and I don't have to eat very many, but like innately a blueberry is great. It's like, it's high in vitamins and minerals, there's fiber, it's a fruit. If it's grown organically, there's no agrochemicals on there, which is a key part of for me and things that I share is you want to avoid foods with agrochemicals. Like it doesn't make sense to be eating food that may have agrochemicals or farming chemicals like pesticides, herbicides. It doesn't make sense to have them on the food to then put them in your body and have your body have to eliminate them. And that's perhaps another conversation to get into another time, but like the financial payoff of choosing organic or finding a local farmers market, that kind of world is, I think, another conversation. But
Okay.
I want to stay with, I think we can all agree it makes sense if you can not to consume farming chemicals.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. And the scary thing was, I was at a wedding. It certainly wasn't this year. It must have been last year. And at the reception, I got chatting to this guy, and he specialised in food wrapping and meats in particular. And he was telling me about the different chemicals that are in the actual gases to make the meat stay fresh for longer. And he goes to farmers markets. He never, ever, ever buys anything that's sealed tight because there's chemicals and gases in there. So he wouldn't touch them, and that's what he does for a living.
Yeah. That's often you'll find that people in the industry won't eat the thing, or that's really fascinating. So something as innocent as blueberries can disturb, and I use these terms quite specifically, it can disturb my physical experience at this time. So I just avoid them. I just don't eat them. Every now and again I might test the body, have a few blueberries, risk it.
Maybe you'll turn blue.
Yeah, exactly.
Again.
It's anthocyanin or whatever, one of the antioxidants in there, the colours. Yeah.
And is there any science in behind why that may be, or would you have to go for such in-depth tests to just work out what was going on? Because for your body to suddenly rejected blueberries, which is what I'm hearing, and possibly quite violently from the way you were saying about it, the physical action. And I used to suffer really badly with IBS, not as badly now. And I use CBD. And that has helped tremendously for me with pain and all sorts of things, and certainly sleep. But again, that was from an organic company or cold press, etc., etc., etc. They spent the money to have the machine. Most of the others don't. But no, with what I was saying was the imbalance. Would you think they would drill down, and it could be the antioxidants, it could be this, it could be that, and people get caught up in that. And I think the most important thing is that you're in tune to the fact that you knew it was the blueberries.
Totally, yeah. So
how would somebody go about doing that? Because you've obviously spent a lot of time on your health and well-being, and it shows. And you're very chilled, very relaxed. You look very healthy. You've got a lovely aura about you, a nice calmness there. But you must have started somewhere. And
I started with errors.
Were you ill and thought, I need to get better, or was it just in the travels, or whilst you were doing that sort of spiritual enlightenment, you thought, well, if I'm doing my soul, I might as well do this physical being that I am.
Yeah,
might as well get its best.
Deal with the spacesuit as well. So there's a couple of really good questions in there. One is like, how do you know? Like, what is it in the blueberries, and then how do you kind of know? And then just really briefly. So in my early 20s, I had something called dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans. Right. It was a tumor. It was here.
Wow.
You got the scar? Yeah.
So I can see.
That was like a little grape lump protruding, and like what I know now to what I knew then is a completely different world. I believe completely that I caused that. I take full responsibility for the creation of that appeared in my shoulder. And during that period of time in my life, I wasn't particularly at ease. I hadn't really looked at myself that much. I was, to use these phrases, fairly living through ego, physical desire to present myself through the physical, like just really focused on the gym, fat-free diet, this kind of lost in a, I'll just go with that. Yeah, just a lot of
I hear you.
physical based experience. And so that came out, and that was my message. It's like, oh look there, when
That's a big wake up call.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When I live in that way and think in that way, that's what manifested for me. So luckily I got it early. It hadn't grown down. It was kind of one that apparently has tentacles and can grow over years, and would have been deadly. So good job, got it early. So that was a trigger. And then my dad actually, he died of a form of cancer as well. So seeing him go through that was pretty rough. And I got a lot of lessons. I got a lot of wake ups. I feel fortunate to have had those messages and those wake ups. And then I was like, okay, I gotta dig further, learn more, see what's happening, and get into prevention. Really get into prevention.
So did you have any down? Sorry, Rich. Did you have any down points? You know, you've got the cancer, been diagnosed. They say it's operative, or are they not sure to start with? They've got to go in and take it out. So, what's your mental state at this point? Because I get what you were saying about your persona.
Yeah,
this is a very physical thing. It's protruding. It's also a challenge on your life. And when we're younger, we just think we're going to heal.
Yeah, which was awesome. It was really useful. So I remember I had the biopsy. They checked it out. They said it's this. Then I remember sitting on the bed with the nurse looking at me, and she goes, or the doctor, sorry. She says, this is what it is. And she kind of looked at me with a dramatic pause. And I said, okay, great. So what do we do? What's the next step? And she said, this is serious, you know. I was like, okay, I get that. I understand. I'm in the oncology department of the hospital. I'm on a bed and I've just been told I've got this. So I totally understand that. I'm into let's. So, and again, for better or worse, I was in action mode. Let's fix this. We'll figure it out. Come on, let's do this. I didn't go into misery. I didn't go into victim. That's not really my game. She then said, oh, it's an operation. We'll check out what's removed and see how far it's grown, and then we'll see if anything else has to happen. It turned into 2 operations to clear out whatever was in there. And then that was it. I was really, I got lucky. I was lucky that I'd caught it early enough, and that actually persuaded the doctor to send me for the biopsy. So he wasn't even sure to send me for the check at first. He was kind of like, maybe we'll just leave it for another year and see. So yeah, I didn't get downtime. I got action. I had a moment on the bed in between the operations that I remember very vividly. And I lay there thinking, wow, I'm totally out of control here. And I think sometimes we'll get emotions and we don't need to necessarily process or like go into like intellectually, well, what does that mean? Why? What does it? But I remember that was a vivid moment of like, I'm out of control and I'm lay on the bed, and I just kind of had to accept. And I guess, this, as we are going into this, I just lay there and kind of let go and accept it. It's okay, I am out of control. That's all right. This is where we are. So sorry, the light's coming. And then, after that, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna really figure this health stuff out, because I guess kind of leading up to that, from sort of 12 or so, I was I was obese. I was a large lad, and I was very insecure at that time as well.
Oh, same
to the point where I carried my
12 to 16, I was quite chubby. I had like moobs, and I was a chubby lad. Until I had my growth spurt, I was a chubby lad, and it really knocked my confidence.
It's interesting at that, isn't it? That age as well.
So you were saying that after that experience, you suddenly went, I want to seize control of my health.
Yeah, it was kind of seized control. It was also, I got that investigating mind. It's like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. That feels to me the right wording. I was going to figure it out. I was going to explore. I was going to just get, like, obviously what I've been doing up to that point, whether it was mental, emotional, and or physical, wasn't conducive to life.
Okay.
So zoom on a few years, and let's just dive in and close the blueberry question.
Yeah.
So in a lot of foods, there are things that help the food survive and kind of carry on its life. And whether it's, I don't know, like there's a specific word, like lectins in beans. There are certain things in fruits and greens, and point towards the kitchen, because they don't have teeth or claws to attack you off, so they have their own defense mechanisms. And then say perhaps when I was younger, the blueberries my body might have been able to process and go through the blueberries more easily, or I was eating less of them, whatever it may be. And then suddenly, as the years went by, there were just a few foods that I figured out that I wasn't high energy, I wasn't clear in my thinking around specifically blueberries, which also came with kind of like a slight kind of skin thing. It was just like a slightly blotchy kind of thing on my face. If I have too much cacao, like I can tolerate a lot of cacao, and I eat a lot of really good chocolate. But if I have too much, I'll start getting spots. So I think there was one there a few days ago. And so that's a message from the body. So the message from the body is, okay, too much cacao. And it's, for me, it's kind of second nature now to tune into, okay, oh yeah, I did eat that the other day. Yeah. Or today I did eat that. Almonds are another one for me. If right now I had 2 tablespoons of almonds, in about 15 to 20 minutes, I'd start getting quite dopey and sleepy. And then it would pass about 30 minutes after.
Oh, so it's kind of worth noting what you're actually putting into your body and what your state of physical, what sensations you're going to be feeling for the next, 4 hours to some people a week can be
Yeah.
affected by what they've eaten or longer.
Yeah, totally. I think if someone, for like an investigatory period of time, doing a food diary can be really useful, really, really useful. Because you get like a list, then it's like, oh yeah, that day, and exactly as you're saying there, like it's like checking on the clarity of mind, the emotional state. Doing it once for a week or even a month will definitely be useful. But as we kind of started with this little segment with, is like the seasons are changing. So if also the relationship's tough, the work's tough, there's social isolation, there's different factors that are also evident. So a food diary for a week or a couple of weeks, yeah, nail that, check it out, see if you can pick out a few suspects. And it's worth as well finding the initial usual suspects that are generally dairy, soy, certain oils. Like, for example, if I eat any canola oil or rapeseed oil, I've got acid within hours.
Okay.
Like, it's just, there's a home bakery here, really lovely family that they have a bakery, and I buy their sourdough bread, and bread is a whole other conversation, but I really enjoy that. And she makes this rye bread, and I just noted after a couple of times I'd eaten it, I was like, I've got acid. What is that? So I asked her last week. I said, what's the oil you use on the bread? She goes, no, there's no oil in the bread. And I said, but what about on it? She goes, oh, in the tin, I use cold pressed rapeseed oil to help the bread like come out of the pan. I'm like, yeah, I just knew it.
Yeah, because I guess you can be literally punching yourself in the gut night after night by eating something, putting something into your body, and you're not realizing it. Like, I know I've done that before. I know a lot of other people who've done that, and they haven't. It's taken them months just to twig on to it.
Yeah. So yes. Googling something like this, like you'll get a fairly decent list if you just Google it. What are the key food intolerances? Not allergens, but intolerances. Have a look at that list. With that in mind, if you want to explore this, do a bit of a food diary. and just kind of navigate for a few weeks. Doesn't necessarily need to be obsessive, but take a little look. Again, just to reiterate, like the agrochemical one's very real. Coffee, tea, anything you're drinking regularly, like for me, it's like it's just there's so much logic in taking out the agrochemicals. So organic tea, organic coffee, simple. Start with that sort of stuff. Should we nail this? I want to nail timing because it's a really awesome one as well.
Yes.
So is that number 2 then, timing, or is it part of number 1?
I don't know. I haven't really put numbers. I've just got a mass of words and stuff that's in here. So coffee, tea, caffeine, stimulants. Let's go with stimulants, right? Mm-hmm. Inherently nothing wrong with any of those things. Like we all process them differently. We all live fairly different lives, right? So some people can drink a black coffee or an espresso at 10 p.m. and go to sleep fine. If I drank an espresso now at 8:12, I won't be sleeping till 4, 5, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
If I drank a light green tea, same, right? So that's a really great investigation point, is where are there like stimulants that are coming into your afternoons and early evenings?
And sometimes foods also contain stimulants that we don't realize are in there as well. Have you got any good examples of those, like common ones that you can think of off the top of your head that you've noticed?
You know, it still surprises me in the tea ceremonies. Often people don't realize tea has caffeine. It does. Tea also has theanine, which kind of works contra to caffeine. So there's a fair balance in there. That's a really easy one. Foods like sugar is obviously it's an energizing one. Your body's going to be processing it. I'm looking towards the kitchen again to see what else is there. You've got beetroot. Beetroot is I think the phrase is like a vasodilator. So that's beetroot juice is sometimes used for workouts. But you know, to make it really simple and clear, is to find those things in the afternoon, sort of 3, 4 p.m. after that time, that if you're struggling with sleep, is it tea? Is it coffee? Are they energy drinks, or like what are those things in there? Again, we're still looking at the physical here, and then so flip that on the other side, is there are certain teas or drinks that can be calming. So like what's the kind of the switch in there? When I say tea, and I should clarify this, is I mean Camellia sinensis, so from the tea tree, so tea, red tea, black tea, oolong, pu'er, yellow tea, that world, rather than chamomile tea, which can be calming. Chamomile is obviously it's not from Camellia sinensis. And you got obviously that mint tea, peppermint tea. So it's getting on the investigation. So looking for food sensitivities, that kind of world. Looking at the stimulants that might be messing with your sleep that you don't realize. And something like say you drink just a builder's tea, for example. In the moment, you might not feel particularly stimulated by it, but your body, your organs will be processing that for a little while. So you might not feel like a jolt of stimulation, but your body may not get to a deep rest in the evening if you've had tea or coffee later on. So it's a fascinating one. And that's not to say cut it out at all, but it's just to investigate timings around that.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, I think that's a really big point there. It's not about beating yourself up and suddenly saying, right, I have to guillotine all of these things out. Once you start to find the triggers, you can then decide which ones you want to play with, which ones you don't, which ones are easier than others to let go of. And so always celebrate the wins rather than staying positive on the negative thinking, which is, you know, I used to see a lot of ladies and have had like dieting, like you mentioned earlier, you know, had 6 brilliant days and had one slightly bad one, and they forget the good 6. So,
Yeah.
don't beat yourself up if you don't suddenly go, oh, right, never going to drink this at this point. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to, because it doesn't work that way.
No,
It's
exactly.
finding those triggers initially, isn't it, and how they react with you. And then you can then make an informed decision on how you might want to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really well said. Yeah. Yeah. It's like in the beating ourselves up is such a funny thing for humans, isn't it? Like in I'll go with HIIT, like high intensity interval training. I was a PT for a while as well, and still do a bit, and really enjoy it actually. One of the things that I kind of find myself having to drill into people particularly for the first few sessions, is when you hit failure, particularly in HIIT, high intensity training, that's kind of the goal. So someone will be doing perhaps air squats or something on a Tabata, which is like 20 on, 10 off. And they'll be like, oh, I only got 15 squats on that one. I got 20 last time. I'm like, it's the whole point. Like, you have to hit the failure to get the learning, to get the growth. So last week I drank tea too late, like it was for going to sleep early enough. And I'm laying in bed and it's like 11. Thinking, okay, I'm pretty wide awake here. What's happened? And I just drank a bit too much tea early evening. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't need to resist it. It's not a problem. It's just as it is. So I could have lay there and rolled around and got annoyed and gone, wow, I just can't sleep. This is so frustrating. Like I just, I was a little miffed. I kind of wanted to sleep, but I just lay, did a bit of meditation and chilled. So.
Sorry, Rich, I didn't mean. I was just trying to think. Your products, I was reading through them. There's some fabulous stuff. I now know that you've probably been to all of these places to source the ingredients by the sound of it, and the passion that you have for the organic stuff. But if there was a tea that would particularly help someone who's suffering with any sort of sleep problems, what was it? Sachi, or I'm probably saying it completely wrong.
You got the right number of syllables.
That's about right for me.
I'll give you that. I'm drinking it now. This is not a diagnosis, but what I like to drink and use, and a lot of people do use, is reishi.
That's it.
Yeah,
reishi.
Not sachi, but reishi. Yeah.
Reishi?
So this is
mushroom based.
Yeah. So this is so it's hard tree mushroom, thousands of years use. There's many anti-cancer studies. It's calming. I've called it love reishi because it connects with the heart area as well. So living with doctors of Chinese medicine, I learned a lot about body finding balance and allowing fluctuations whilst leaning back into balance. And within Chinese medicine, they work on I think it's meridians is the right word, and this goes into the heart area. And I can drink say half a bowl of this, and if I sit still, particularly if I sit still, I just feel kind of my heart area, not the heart, not palpitations, but just this, just as if, like you can sit there now, close your eyes, and try this if you want to. You put all of your attention into your left hand. You might feel it's warm. You might feel it's cool. You might feel the pulse or your heartbeat there. You just put all your attention there. And when I drink a reishi, without trying too much, suddenly my heart area is just like very present. My attention, my energy, my consciousness is right in the heart. And love reishi. But that's the one that's known for calming, for balance. It's known as an immune modulator. And you've got the fruiting body and the spores. And the spores are like the seeds, which are more known for hormonal balance.
That's great, because that is massive. That's something that affects me with sleep. If I have once a month, or if I eat something that knocks my hormones out, balance, it really, I notice it affecting my sleep.
Yeah. There's a number of foods and teas that can support with that. Reishi's, I'll drink reishi for the rest of my life. There's a absolute synergy, a relationship, and it's bitter. Like, to drink it on its own, it's about as bitter as a black coffee. Some people, it takes a little while to get used to. Others drink it once and never again. And some people drink it forever.
So is there an optimum time to drink that before bedtime?
It always depends. When I drink it, it's generally evening. So this is another good sort of segue, actually, is, again, living with the doctors of Chinese medicine and carrying on reading around that world. The general consensus is, and we know this sort of stuff, is not to eat too late, right? Yeah. Take that to another sort of level within the intermittent fasting world, is only consume water, no tea, no mushrooms, no food, nothing, within sort of 4 or so hours of sleeping. And the intermittent fasting world, depending on what sort of timing you're doing, is to leave the certain amount of time before you consume anything at all again, unless it's water. So what time to drink this? Answer is, it depends. With food, to help my sleep, I generally try and stop eating 3 to 4 or more hours before going to sleep. Practically speaking, it's not necessarily always that easy, especially with friends, family, dinners, and that.
Yeah.
But then within that, if I eat late, I'll make sure I go for a little walk afterwards to support the digestive process. Also, I generally have my bed slightly raised, like a couple of pillows under the mattress, because if I'm like that, if my head is down, that kind of seems to rush blood to my head, seems to upset my stomach a little bit. So either flat or just slightly raised. And if I go to a hotel, I always stick pillows under the mattress. Just for me, I just sleep way better with my head slightly raised.
I never even considered that before. The actual angle of your body on that mattress. Yeah.
Right. Like that one single thing transformed my experience of sleeping like that. And I don't know, like, other people may sleep better with their feet up. I don't know, but like, that's a thing. Like, that's a real thing. Especially if someone's suffering with acid reflux. And during a stressful period of life, I was suffering with acid reflux. I won't go with suffering, it's such a dramatic word. I was experiencing acid reflux. Language is so good, right?
It's only worth 7%.
Yeah. Exactly. Good. Yeah. So, and just raising up the bed. I'll just dive into that for a second. So if someone's suffering with acid reflux, there are generally foods that are triggering that. It's not necessarily high acid in the stomach. It might be low acid. Again, not a doctor, but just from my own personal experience and reading. There are certain foods that will trigger me, like rapeseed oil or canola oil. I'm done. An hour or so after, acid up the esophagus. Body just doesn't like it. Again, if I eat too late, that can upset things like that. On the flip side, things that support really well is stopping eating 3, 4, 5 hours before going to sleep, raising the bed slightly, magnesium levels. And I think if you're going through anything like this, any kind of sleep, if you're having trouble sleeping, is a blood test. Get your levels checked. Get your levels checked on everything. And the NHS will do that if you just give them enough words, and they'll tick the boxes for the things to be tested. And then you can go from there. Or if you can afford it, I'm not sure how much it is, but it's probably £100 or a few £100. You can do a private blood test, a blood panel that's even more in depth. And then you see your bloods and you go, oh, okay, actually I'm missing that nutrient or that vitamin or mineral. But magnesium's often one, and I'm sure you guys have heard that before.
Oh no, I haven't actually. Not at all. Yeah.
Oh really?
No,
Oh,
I've heard iron, but that's about it. Not
awesome. I
magnesium.
mean, yeah, like look into magnesium. Yeah. Well, if it's just for that, that's like, every single second this has been worth
You're
it.
breaking up a bit there, Rich.
Yeah, like nutrient deficiencies or anything like that can really affect sleep and energy levels.
Yeah, I've noticed in myself, if I have a lot of sugar, it actually inflames almost my joints. My wife's noticed it in her
Ooh,
hips. She has too much
let's see what
sugar,
we can do.
gets inflamed, and then she sleeps badly. And sugar was one thing I never thought would affect sleep. Long term, you can have a massive amount in the morning or the day before, and it's affecting you for days after sometimes. Oh,
Mm.
I think we've lost Rich, Neil.
Mm.
Possibly for the moment.
Let's see if we can put rabbit ears
I,
or something.
I can hear you guys. Can you
Oh,
hear me or not?
yeah, we
Oh
can
yeah,
hear you now.
yeah, we can hear you
I
now.
think the video's gone. We can turn the video off if you want, or just carry. Let's just carry on, see what happens.
Okay.
How are we doing for time, Joseph? I haven't been.
Yeah,
Cool. All right.
I
Okay.
think we've probably got maybe 5 minutes, and we should start probably wrapping up.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you've covered a huge
we're
amount
actually
of
at
ground there,
8:30.
Rich.
Oh,
Yeah, fabulous amount of ground that you've covered there, and it's going to be a massive use
Yeah.
to a lot
Yeah.
of our group members. And I think, yeah, if you would like to come back again, I'm not saying that we're wrapping up at this second, but I think we'd love to have you back again. There's loads and loads of stuff that we just sort of mind map off from what you've just said. I mean, there's so much more to go through.
I think Richard could probably talk for a good day or two, and we wouldn't run out of things that are useful to people. No, I think he's gone again. I'll just pause the recording 1 sec. We'll restart it when he's back. So we can hear you better now, Rich. So please continue.
Mm. Can you guys hear me okay or not?
Most of the time. Maybe it's the universe's way of telling us we've spoken too long and it's
Cool.
time for us to.
So, yeah, I mean,
He's back. Sorry,
bro,
carry on.
there is things. I'll wrap it up with these little. I think it might be. Yeah, there's so much to go at there. There's so much. But we haven't even touched on meditation, which it's rubbish. My mind was talking the whole time. So again, that's kind of like the training thing is if the mind is talking and you're aware that the mind is talking, if you hear the voice, that's part of the dissolution of it. It's like oh yeah, there is a voice. Oh, I'm aware that it's there. That's part of the game. And the meditation would maybe we bring that in on the next live, but yeah, I did this thing called Vipassana, which is it's a 10-day silent retreat, and it's basically breath work, body scans, and the only thing to do is to observe and not judge or work on not judging. So here's crazy thought. Okay, there goes crazy thought. Here's another crazy thought. Here's a beautiful thought. Here's a very pleasurable thought. It comes, it goes. It comes, it goes. And let's do that. Let's go deeper into that stuff next time, because we've done a fair bit of the physical, like getting into things like what are the aspects of life that we're experiencing with through our perception of those things, while sprinkling in some meditation as well. That'd be quite a nice thing to pick into again.
Yeah, it would, because I've recently been finding new uses for meditation. So it'd be great to hear about your take on that.
We're
Yeah.
not doing
Really,
tantric.
really useful in helping me get back to sleep when I wake up, because I still sometimes wake up agitated. And
Okay. Yeah.
you can get into a runaway of, oh, I don't want to, because my body's telling me go up and do something or read a book or do something interesting. My brain is, it's little sort of like a monkey mind going crazy, wanting me to do something, and or there's a whole lot of thinking that can happen sometimes. And I've found it incredibly useful in getting back to sleep really quickly. And I've been surprised last week. I've been shocked. So it'd be great to have a meditation talk with you.
Awesome. Bro. I'll be kicking myself if I don't say this as well, is lighting. So the lights, the type of bulbs, screen time, that world is critical for getting deep sleep, as in figuring out how to turn the lights down, whatever that is for you, like figuring out your screen time. And then also, again, just to reiterate, is like, if someone's waking up in the night, if they're not getting to sleep early enough or waking up shattered, it like investigating that by getting your hormones tested, blood tests, that kind of world. It's not a big drama. It's just like simply, oh yeah, cool, get a blood test, check out the hormone balances, and take it from there. Like that stuff's awesome. I'm getting excited. Like it's like you can really find out stuff there.
No, you absolutely can. I used to do a lot of nutrition years and years ago, and one of the big things was a lot of women going through the menopause, and HRT and homeopaths. I found a fantastic homeopath who just seemed to have the knack of being able to help them and save them a fortune as well at times. But yeah, I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't go deeper into the whole wellness side of things. I certainly have used meditation with clients and done groups and, taking it out there, and certainly see the benefit if you have a busy mind to give you that space and time to just have that space and time. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's very outside into us, but at the same time it's useful.
Neil, there's a way of doing that is not outside in and using it purely as a method of exploration of your experience, not trying to get something.
Well, that sounds interesting. Okay, then. Right, I think we're on then, guys.
You got excited about that, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we need to chat. But I've loved having you with us, Rich. And I'm sure what we've tended to find is not many people join us. Perhaps they're zoomed out in this world we live in these days. I know my other half does most of her job now using Zoom. So I get that, but we seem to be getting a lot more people watching afterwards, and we're starting to get a few comments. So I think as time goes, these things will either snowball and get bigger or snowball and melt. But the understanding that we had, myself and Joseph, was that we just wanted to give. It's not about receiving anything. So we enjoy doing it, and if we find somebody else who enjoys it, and we have just as much, then let's collaborate some more.
Awesome, lovely.
Let's get some of your artwork over to us so that we can bang it up onto the site,
Cool.
with the links as well. We're all about helping people, and there's a lot of science there to back up what you've said, and it's completely organic. I've got no problem with endorsing that on the site. Have you, Joe?
No, not at all. And I think you had I used to have whey protein, and it really messed with my joints and stuff. So I tried to get a good vegan protein, and you can't get one that doesn't just taste terrible.
No.
Rich has got one. He's got one.
Yes. Nice
Vegan,
one. Nice.
it's organic, this kind of thing. So he's got a lot of stuff that's kind of rare in today's world.
But also what people are looking for.
Yeah.
But also what people are looking for. So let's get the word out there.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's you can tell I love exploring this and sharing and connecting with you guys. So beautiful.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, I've just loved it.
Well,
nice one.
We'll say bye-bye now then and stop.
Cheers, guys.
See you all soon.
See ya.
Take care.